Hi, I'm Larry Richardson and welcome to Zeniers.com Cooking. In this edition we're going to make a fun dish that's also delicious, nutritious, and easy to make. It's our basic pizza omelet. It sounds a lot more complicated than it is, but it's really easy to make, especially using this step-by-step method. So come on, let me show you how to make it. Here are the basic ingredients for our pizza omelet. What we're going to use is 3 eggs, about 1/8 of a cup of onion, a cup of tomatoes cleaned, I'll show you that in a moment, about 1/4 cup of cheese. Again, this is for 2 people. You can add a little bit more cheese if you want, but I like it a little bit on the light side. Some Italian seasoning, some dried Italian seasonings, a little dash of olive oil, and a teaspoon of butter. And that's just to keep the egg slick while that's cooking, while the omelet's cooking. So let's get started. I'll show you how to put all this together. The first thing we're going to do is prepare the eggs. So crack these into a bowl. Once the eggs are cracked into the bowl, I like to add about a tablespoon of water, a tablespoon or 2, which will make the eggs extra fluffy. If you don't like your omelets fluffy, don't add any water at all. So the water's in there, and now I'm just beating up the mix. I want it to a very smooth consistency. I don't want any of the egg white showing as a clump. If you have egg white showing as a clump, then you're going to have a clumpy omelet. So there we go. That's whisked to a very smooth consistency. I'm going to set that aside. And now I'm going to cut the onion. Again, I want about 1/4 cup of onion, 1/8 to 1/4 cup, depending on your taste. You may actually want to go with the 1/8 of a cup the first time. That way you can get a taste for it, and then decide if you want to add more onion to it. And I'm chopping this very finely. I don't like big onion pieces in my pizza omelet. Okay, now I see some of the pieces escaped me, so I'm just going to chop them finer. I find the finer the egg mix, the smoother the omelet. And I'll put that into my measuring cup. And that's 1/4 cup, right where I wanted it. Now this next part is critically important to this recipe, and that's cleaning the tomatoes before you saute them. If you leave the insides in the tomatoes, what's going to happen is they're going to be too wet. There's just going to be too much moisture for the omelet to cook, and you'll end up with basically tomato egg soup. So what you want to do is take each of these tomatoes, and again we're shooting for a cup of this. Each of these tomatoes, cut them like this, and then clean the seeds out. The seeds and the connecting material, clean that out. I cleaned these out right into the sink. And then what you do is, is you're going to chop it into smaller pieces. Because you don't want huge chunks of tomato in this omelet. You want smaller pieces. There we go. And we're going to do this until we reach a cupful of tomato. Okay, so here we have our essential ingredients. Again, about a 1/4 cup of shredded cheese, 1/8 to a 1/4 cup of finely chopped onion, a cup of tomatoes with all of the seeds cleaned out, and 3 eggs beaten well. So now what we're going to do is move over to the stove. Now you can see I have 2 pans here. This pan is going to be used to lightly saute the onion and tomato mix, and this pan is going to be used for the omelet itself. I've preheated this pan, the omelet pan, at just over low. It's like 1 notch over low. And I've preheated this pan at 2. So that's our sauteing pan. What I'll do first is add a little bit of a dash of olive oil to the sauteing pan. Just a little bit. I don't want to add too much liquid to any of this, since the tomatoes are pretty liquidy to begin with. And I'll add a teaspoon of butter to the omelet pan. This will keep the omelet from sticking. Now let's add the onions to this pan first. It's running a little hot, but you get the point. And we'll add the egg mixture to the omelet pan. Keep this moving. I don't want to brown the onions too much. I want them to just start to saute. And then I'm adding the tomato mix and keep this moving. I don't even really want to saute this too much. I just want the tomatoes to get warmed up a little bit. And maybe they'll give up some of their liquid too. Since I cleaned them, you can see there's not a lot of liquid coming out of the tomatoes. So I don't have to worry about that. I'm actually going to take that off earlier than I usually do because it's looking pretty good. And the tomatoes are very fresh at this phase too. Now on the omelet pan itself, what I'm looking for is that these bubbles should start to have a little bit of yellow underneath them. I don't want to see the dark part of the pan underneath. That tells me there's a good floor forming for me to pour the vegetable mix onto. And it looks like it's already formed. So what I'll do is I'll take the tomato and onion mix and put it on half the omelet. And then I'll put the cheese on the other half. Now if you like your tomatoes super fresh, you don't have to saute them too much. If they're really dry tomatoes, you can probably skip the sauteing altogether. But again, the main thing you want to be careful of is that when the tomatoes end up in the omelet pan itself, that they're not giving out a ton of liquid. Because if they're giving out too much liquid, your omelet's going to turn out too soggy. The last thing I'm going to add is about a 1/4 teaspoon of these Italian seasonings. You can skip this if you want to, but I like it for sort of that authentic pizza taste. And now I'll cover this for 2 minutes. And the reason I cover it is to make sure that it cooks all the way through, and that a lot of the parts that the egg parts are not undercooked when I go to flip the omelet on top of itself, when I go to fold it, which I'll show you in a few minutes. Okay, so now we're going to uncover the pizza omelet. And as you can see, it's cooked. The egg is cooked. What you're seeing is some moisture from the tomato, some moisture from the cheese. And now I'm going to fold it. So work my spatula under it and flip it just like that. Now what I'm going to do is, because you can see some of the tomato moisture coming out of it, I'm going to cover it for 1 more minute. This will make sure that the omelet isn't mushy when you actually go to serve it. Okay, and there we go. This pizza omelet is for 2, so I'm going to slice it in half and put it on 2 plates. Oops. There we go. So that is your basic pizza omelet. So here you have it, your basic pizza omelet. It's delicious, it's nutritious, and it's a great way to sneak vegetables into your diet. In addition to the tomatoes and onions, you could add pepper to this dish. You can add pretty much anything to this that you would normally add to an omelet. Either way, give it a shot, make it your way, and visit Zeniers.com. You'll find a printable version of this recipe on Zeniers.com, and please feel free to contact me and let me know what you think, and let me know how you made this your own special dish. Until next time, I'm Larry Richardson for Zeniers.com.